What if the protagonist of Demon Slayer, Tanjiro, and one of the strongest Hashira, Tengen, were killed during their battle against the demons, Gyutaro and Daki? How would the demon corpse manage to recover after this catastrophic loss? Would another Demon Slayer take center stage and lead the fight against the renowned Muzan Kibutsuji? I found 3 theories on how the story would have played out if Tanjiro and Tengen had died at the hands of Gyutaro and Daki. In this first theory, let's start with Nezuko's emotional state. This theory looks at how Nezuko would have moved on after the death of her brother, Tanjiro. During the Entertainment District arc, we see how uncontrollable Nezuko can become once the demon side of her gets a whiff of blood, and it is Tanjiro who takes it upon himself to subdue her. After their parents' demise, Tanjiro is the only family Nezuko has left, and experiencing his loss would probably send her into a downward spiral. Her demon side would take over, and she would go rogue, leaving the Demon Slayers with no other option other than to slay her. Considering the hesitation the Hashiras had in accepting her into the demon corpse, it's not too far-fetched to assume that they wouldn't give it a second thought before putting down Nezuko for good. However, in contrast, Nezuko could have chosen a completely different path. Experiencing Tanjiro's death might have sparked the flame of vengeance inside her heart, and she could have taken hold of the responsibilities her brother left behind. This would make her even more determined to find a cure for the demon inside her, and together with Inosuke and Zenitsu, she would embark on a journey to avenge the death of her loved ones. Add the fact that she might have gotten a Demon Slayer mark, and her abilities would have been on the brink of overpowered, making the demon corpse battle against the Upper Moons all the more easier. Nezuko, as the protagonist of the anime, actually has quite a nice ring to it. This was just the first theory. There are 2 theories left, each one better than the last. The second theory looks at how the corpse would have adapted themselves to this huge change and survive against the Upper Moons. Taking into account that the demon corpse had just recently suffered the loss of the fire Hashira, Rengoku, experiencing the death of 2 more of their elite members would have taken a huge toll on the group. Tanjiro's death would mean the end of fire breathing, and as a result, an end to the Slayer marks as well. For a Slayer to unlock their mark, they need to have been in contact with a Sun Breather or be a Sun Breather themselves. These Slayer marks are essential if the Demon Slayers hope to gain victory against the Upper Moons. Since it was only because of his mark that Tanjiro was able to defeat Gyutaro, we can then assume that unless the Slayer Corps has a plan B, the safest possible option would be to take refuge someplace safe. Here, they would soon realize that they are only left with 7 Hashiras, Genya and Kanao, and it would be nothing short of insanity if they barged into Muzan's room and demanded a battle. A few generations would probably pass by, during which the Hashiras would continue to train for a fight they're almost sure to lose, and wait for a miracle in the form of a Sunbreather to reveal himself from the shadows. Then again, the corpse may choose to adopt a more offensive approach and wish to slay Daki and Gyutaro immediately, since they have made their presence known. Muzan is obviously much smarter, and would relocate the 2 Upper Moons and instead leave a trap for the investigating Hashiras. If the corpse chose to continue with the offensive, they may even go as far as to infiltrate the Infinity Castle, which frankly is quite ludicrous. Muzan would not even have had to break a sweat, as the Upper Moons would make light work of the small number of Slayers who are without marks and without the much sought after plot armor that Tanjiro would have brought by his side. However, really stretching things here, but let's say the Hashiras actually had a chance. It would all actually depend on Nezuko. Let us say that similar to Tanjiro, her Slayer marks are also inherited from their father. She might be able to pass it on to the Hashiras, and this would allow them to gain an advantage in their fight against Muzan. However, it was Tanjiro's involvement in the Swordsmith village that prevented it from being destroyed and losing Hashiras in the fight against the demons, particularly Gyoko. Moichiro drowns against Gyoko, and we already saw what happened to Mitsuri in the 10 seconds Tanjiro was not helping. Genya also dies, and it only gets worse from there. Gyo is fighting Akaza both markless and solo, so while he may still force him to evolve, he gets obliterated immediately afterward. They lose Gyome and Sanemi because they number 1 don't have marks. Nezuko's marks are still a far-fetched miracle, and number 2 don't have Moichiro or Genya against Gakushibu. Daoma won't die either, because he'll kill Kanao before she gets the chance to capitalize on the poison Shinobu infected him with. They're not escaping Infinity Castle because without Tanjiro meeting and establishing a friendship of sorts with Tamayo, Yushiro isn't there to control Nakime. Ubanai dies trying to fight Nakime solo, not from Nakime outright overpowering him, but from her exhausting him till she can land a finishing blow. In conclusion, the demon corpse would return back to their old status quo, with the Upper Moons killing every new Hashira that comes up. Well, that was bad. Now let's see what the third theory has in store. The third theory looks at how Muzan, the leader of the demons and upper moons, would proceed after this new development of the deaths of Tanjiro and Tengen. Although the ball is now in his court, he would not wish to rush anything, since he has nothing but time. Obviously, he would first relocate Daki and Guytaro since their whereabouts are now known, and losing them so early in this fight may prove costly. This is where things get interesting, as this scheming mastermind would definitely have something unorthodox hidden underneath his cape. Ordering his hench demons to fetch the bodies of Tanjiro and Tengen, he could revive them in demon form for a much more sinister plan. Tanjiro would obviously not voluntarily go over to the dark side, and using all of his willpower, he would shun any type of mind control tricks that Muzan attempts to use on him. Eventually though, Tanjiro cracks and he joins Muzan's upper moons, spreading fear and chaos throughout the world. This is where the Slayer Corps would intervene, and Tanjiro is faced by the familiar faces of his friends, but Muzan has definitely done a solid job, as the once energetic and optimistic Demon Slayer is now a cold-blooded killer. That is, until he comes to blows with none other than Nezuko, his younger sister. Apart from her brother, she has done her own fair share of training and gives Tanjiro quite the fight. However, his ability still outweighs hers, and just as he is about to deliver the final blow, the memory of the death of his parents comes flooding back. This is enough to break the control Muzan has on him, and he then betrays the demons, resulting in the victory for the Demon Slayers. Unfortunately though, life is not just a field filled with roses and dandelions and sunflowers. Realistically, Muzan would probably have already thought about this scenario and gone another way. With the immediate threat to his demons extinguished, Muzan might just continue searching for the blue spider lily instead. Obviously, the hunt for the Hashiras and the remaining Demon Slayers would continue, but he would definitely now give first priority to his main aim, which is to find the much sought-after flower. Becoming the very first demon in existence obviously has its downsides, and we can tell that from Muzan's obsessive nature, as his life's only goal is to, wait for it, walk in the sunlight. Having spent his existence trying to do so, with Tanjiro gone, we can assume that now he has much more time to find the blue spider lily, which would make all demons immune to the sunlight. Damn, someone really needs to get the Demon King a different hobby. Now, considering the fact that the blue spider lily is only seen in the daytime, which is why Muzan has not found it yet, we can assume that despite Tanjiro's death, he would still not get it because he cannot go out in the sunlight. In fact, the loss of Tanjiro would actually hinder his plan, as Nezuko might even be more unwilling to go out of the Butterfly Mansion, as the Slayers have taken her in without her brother by her side. This would have a domino effect, as then Muzan would not find out about her true powers, resulting in no Infinity Castle arc or Sundown taking place, and then most probably, demons would actually still be around in the modern day, all because some cocky protagonist decided to die in a fight. Not done just yet, as working on this same theory, Nezuko could actually have conquered the sun as well. Having done so, Muzan would probably have found out and hunted her down. Without the Slayer marks and having to deal with an extra moon, the Demon Corps would have been at an extreme disadvantage and gotten wiped out. Without any defense, Nezuko would not have stood a chance against Muzan, who would then absorb her, and victory would be in the hands of the Demon King. These are just fan theories after all, and it is almost impossible that Tanjiro would be killed off, especially with all that plot armor. Much loved across the anime world, his death would definitely be a national mourning day. Do you see any other direction Demon Slayer would go if Tanjiro and Tengen died against Gyutaro and Daki? What if it was Nezuko who died instead of Tanjiro? How would our protagonist cope with that loss? Well, that's the subject for another video. In the meantime, click here to check out another very interesting Demon Slayer theory. Click it.